Hi, welcome to Home Farm. Today we're reviewing the Grind and Brew Plus coffee machine from Cuisinart.
So Miles is the coffee drinker in our family and I am definitely the tea drinker, but I'm converting now with the Cuisinart.
So our previous machine was actually an espresso maker, which meant that it actually made very intense coffee. So not only did it grind the coffee beans, it actually compressed them and really, chucked out lots of really intense coffee, which I really enjoyed, but it's not for everybody. One of the things that we wanted to do when we actually changed up was to have something that just made kind of a more delicate kind of coffee. So one of the machines that we came across was the Cuisinart. This machine actually runs your coffee beans or the actual ground coffee through a filter as opposed to compressing it, which basically makes a slightly more delicate kind of coffee. So what I really like about this coffee machine is that it gives you a lot of flexibility with the kinds of coffee that you can use. So it can either take the whole beans and actually grind them down, or it can take powdered coffee.
We knew that we really did not want a machine that actually took the pods. A lot of our friends and family have these pod kind of machines, and a lot of those are kind of typically Nespresso, and the plastic pods are just really wasteful and polluting, so we really did not want to go down that route. We've got other friends who are more sustainable and eco-living, and they've actually tried out a number of different brands that have actually do compostable pods, and they've come back to us. We've been asking them how they've been doing with it, and they've been really unimpressed. They've just said, look, we're just not happy with these compostable pods. They're not breaking down in the compost heap, and we're just not seeing them degrade. So we just decided it was better to just avoid the pods altogether and just stay really simple and just have either beans or powder that just went through the machine.
That's actually an excellent point, because we do compost a lot ourselves. What this allows you to do is to take the actual grounds from the coffee machine and either put them onto your compost heap directly, or if you don't have a compost heap, you can just as easily just add them directly to your flower beds, because they will actually add nutrition to your soil. This Cuisinart actually does make coffee really quickly and easily. The only drawback of that is that once it makes one pot, you do have to empty the little filter that actually where the coffee filters through. So if you make one pot in the morning and you want to have another one in the afternoon, you do have to empty that. It's not a big job though, because it is actually quite easy to empty and to dispose of.
Yeah, the other thing is that the jug is metal, so it's like almost like a thermos flask, so it actually keeps it really nice and warm. But obviously with a glass, I don't know, it's aesthetically whether you want glass and whether you want to be able to see the coffee or how much is left or whatever. But I find it really handy, the fact that it does keep it warm for a long time. The only thing I would say, my kind of niggle on this, is that the jug inside is actually, the metal goes up and around, but it goes up and around the whole entire thing. So where your spout is, the metal is still curved around. So when you're going to pour the coffee out, the liquid's got to go up, and then it's got to go all the way up and then around and then down the spout. So you actually end up pushing the jug kind of really, almost like this to try and get the coffee out. So I kind of do find that a little bit annoying.
But there is a reason why I think that they've done that, and that's purely because it is a thermal flask and it does keep the coffee hot for about 4 or 5 hours. We've tried it about 6 or 7 hours later. It's kind of lukewarm, but it does keep it hot for a long period of time. And you do have to kind of weigh up the fact that it doesn't pour out very well, but the fact that it is thermal and it is storing it, and you don't have to pay extra energy to keep that coffee hot, which I think is a big plus point.
Yeah, that is actually something that's worthwhile. I don't know whether they still do it. I know in the 80s we used to see very similar kind of filter coffee machines in offices. The hot plate would actually stay on the entire day, and so it's worth, when you're choosing a coffee machine, to know whether that's the case or not, because obviously if it's going to stay on for the entire day or for hours after you've poured your first cup of coffee, you're paying for that. And these hot plates are actually energy guzzlers. So just be aware of that. That's why this one, we like the fact that it actually just turns off, and then it's the thermos jug that actually keeps it warm, not the hot plate underneath.
So the water container makes about 12 cups of coffee, but it's not 12 conventional cups of coffee. It basically makes 6 of these, or 12 small ones. And the one thing that caught us out at the beginning is that I filled the jug up with water to the max for the first time, which is okay because we needed to run it through in any event, but it will basically keep going until all that water is done. So don't fill it up halfway through again with more water, because then it will actually overflow. So you need to put in the precise amount of water for the exact amount of coffee that you want to brew.
It is programmable, so you can actually set the time, and then you can actually set a program so that it comes on and actually does its coffee every morning at like 8 AM or something. It makes a very small kind of guzzly noise, like a drippy noise, but it's actually quite a nice percolating kind of noise.
Having said that, when it actually does grind the coffee, it is quite noisy, but it's only for about 20 or 30 seconds, depending on how much coffee you're grinding. But you're right, that when it actually percolates and it actually filters that coffee through, it's really quiet. You can also set the strength of your coffee when you're actually grinding the beans, so you can go mild, medium, or strong. You don't have that option when actually using the pre-ground coffee. I actually recommend that you use the scoop that they give you, because it actually is perfect. So if you pour in 6 cups worth of water, it takes 6 scoops of pre-ground coffee, and it actually makes a very nice cup of coffee.
It's nice and compact. I thought the size is really good, especially it's deceptive, because actually when you unpack it and put it on the counter, it doesn't actually take up that much space. But then when you take the jug out, you think, God, this jug's quite big actually. Very simple, the kind of silver, brushed silver steel kind of color. I don't think they come in any other colors, but they were just really neutral and just nice and compact, and I think it looks good there.
Cuisinart also make 2 models of this particular coffee machine. So they've got the professional, which is the one that we've got, and they've basically got the standard version. The only difference between those two is that this one's got what they call a burr grinder, which basically means that it's got plates that grind the coffee, making it very, very fine, where the conventional one has just got blades. So it basically, the coffee comes out a little bit coarser, and it can also burn the coffee a little bit if you're making big quantities. So the burr grinder probably makes a slightly better cup of coffee. When we were using the coffee beans, if you set it too strong, you get through the coffee beans in a hurry, because it actually grinds a lot of beans. So we basically set ours now to the mildest strength, and we basically just play around with the amounts of water to get the right kind of strength of coffee that we like.
I would also just say that if you wanted to do cappuccinos or lattes or something else like that, we do actually have a review of the Lavazza milk frothing machine that we purchased last year, and that was really well priced, and we've still got that over there. And we use that, I use that almost daily. And it's a really great little way of heating up and warming up your milk or making your milk frothy. And if you want to use that in conjunction with this machine, it would make really nice cappuccinos. Because the milk frothing machine is almost just like a cup, and it just kind of warms it up. There is really very little to clean. It is very simple. There is nothing that can break on it. And so far so good. For us personally, I really feel that with the little Lavazza milk frothing and the coffee machine, I really feel like we've got our bases covered if somebody did come over and say, can I have a cappuccino or something? So I really think that those two make a very nice little combination. For me, as a non-coffee drinker, I would recommend it. I think it's really simple. I think it's compact. I think that there's not an awful lot that can go wrong with it. I don't think it requires the amount of high maintenance and headaches our previous coffee machines have required, which I like, especially as a very intermittent coffee drinker. And I just think that it's just, it does the job. It's simple and low waste. You're not going to have all these horrible pods and, all of the additional kind of maintenance that goes on with the kind of bigger, serious machines.
As a coffee drinker, I would also recommend the machine. It does come down to your taste preferences as a coffee drinker. So if you like espressos and heavy coffees, this probably isn't for you. But if you just drink, 3, 4, 5, 6 cups of coffee a day, and you just want to have coffee on stream all the time, I think this is a great option. So I hope that you found this video useful and interesting. If you did, as always, please give us a thumbs up, hit the subscribe button below, and we'll see you on our next video. Thanks for watching.